Hi ELE families, this is Principal Lael here to share some important information about the return of students to school. In this video, I'll be sharing information about arrival, explaining the difference between the attestation form and the symptom screener, explaining the procedures for arrival and dismissal, talking about the importance and the expectation around face coverings, letting you know what your student should bring to school each day, giving you a look inside of our hallways, restrooms, outdoor spaces, and classrooms, giving you information about special area classes and individual services, as well as details about breakfast and lunch. In a future video, I'll provide more information about the daily in-person class schedule, asynchronous Wednesdays, our cleaning and sanitation protocols, symptom evaluations for students who show signs of illness during the school day, and our protocol for confirmed and suspected COVID cases. You may be wondering how we make decisions about the procedures at ELE. First, the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services partners with the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction to make decisions and provide guidance to school systems. The CMS leadership team partners with Mecklenburg County Health Department to provide guidance and directives to schools. Then the ELE leadership team takes that information and makes decisions about the processes and procedures at ELE. We take the responsibility of caring for your children very seriously. While their academic growth and their social-emotional growth are our high priorities, their health and safety must be our top priority. At ELE, you will see signs all around reminding students and staff that we will all practice the 3 W's: wearing a face covering, waiting 6 feet apart when possible, and washing our hands often throughout the day. The CDC has provided updated information about the importance of face coverings. Face coverings are required for all staff and students at ELE. They are required on the bus, in the restrooms, in the classrooms, in the hallways. They're required everywhere. They're required for students, they're required for staff, they're required for everyone. I know I'm starting to sound a little like Dr. Seuss, but I want to make sure that we're all on the same page about the importance of wearing face coverings during the school day. Students will be allowed to take mask breaks, and those will be teacher-directed. Masks will obviously not be required when students are eating and drinking, and mask breaks will be taken outdoors. We have our outdoor spaces marked so that students can be in sections of an outdoor space that are assigned to them to maintain social distance during these teacher-directed breaks. If you're concerned about your child not being able to tolerate a mask well, don't worry. What we've seen with our children is that they do a much better job at putting on the face covering and leaving it alone than many adults do. And we will practice. Don't worry, we won't be harsh. We will just remind students and continue to practice our great mask routines. Parents are encouraged to send 2 to 3 masks for their child in a plastic bag so that they can change them during the day. A paper bag will be provided for the used masks so that your children can bring those home for you to wash. Please be sure to wash those at home and make sure that your child has masks ready for the next day of school. And again, if you're concerned about your child's mask routines, practice. Teach them to use the ear loops to take the mask on and off. And if you feel like your child needs a little bit of extra encouragement with the mask, please reach out to your teacher so that we can practice during the remote learning days before your students start to report to school. So your student should bring a backpack to school each day. We ask that they also wear their school-issued name tag when coming to school, as this will help us check students in during morning arrival. If your child hasn't been issued a school name tag yet, they will receive one during the first 2 weeks of school. Please also have your child bring their device to school. For kindergarten through second grade students, that's the school-issued iPad, and for third through fifth grade, the school-issued Chromebook. Most backpacks have a special slot that the device can go into to help keep it protected. So teach your child how to put the device in the backpack. Be sure to bring it fully charged, and remind your child not to take the device out on the school bus on the way to school. Teachers will send a list of other materials that are needed during the day, such as workbook pages or other books that they may be using in class. Most of the school supplies, like pencils, glue sticks, scissors, will be provided at school so that your child can keep the other supplies at home or at their child care center for remote learning. Students will not be sharing supplies, and the supplies that are provided to them will be stored between their in-person days and returned to your students on their school days. The ELE arrival time is between 7:15 and 7:45 a.m. Prior to loading onto the bus, bus riders should complete the attestation form each week. Only one form is required on the first day your child attends school of each week. The symptom screener is required every day for every student attending and for every staff member who is reporting on campus. The attestation form can be found on the ELE webpage, and there are also printed copies available at ELE in the sidewalk drop box. The bus driver will also have paper copies available. The symptom screener is available on the ELE webpage, and the ELE screening team will also have copies of the questions available. I highly suggest that you bookmark the ELE webpage on your home computer. You can find the bus rider attestation form there, along with the daily symptom screener. You will need to complete the symptom screener for each child in your household, and you will need their student ID to be able to complete that screener. You can also save a shortcut to your phone. You will pull up the ELE webpage on your phone, then open the symptom screener, and when the symptom screener opens, you will go to this little square at the bottom with the arrow. Tap that button and choose the option Add to Home Screen. Once you add that form to your home screen, you'll see a little app icon that says School Symptom. And this is what you can use each day to pull up the screener, enter one child's student ID, go through the questions and receive the green check. And if you have additional students attending that day, you'll just need to go back in and complete with a different student ID number. So when you're arriving at school, if you arrive and you are a carpool driver, you will need to pull into the ELE bus lot if you are arriving before 7:10 a.m. This is just a waiting area. This is not a student drop-off area. But by having the early arrivers wait here, we keep our driveway open so that staff members can continue to arrive in the staff parking lot. A staff member will direct these cars to enter the main carpool line at 7:10 to wait for student drop-off to begin. Buses will begin entering into this area and staging for student drop-off around 7:05 a.m. Walkers may continue to use both the entrance by the track for Sardis Plantation sidewalkers, and we'll continue to use the sidewalk up by the cafeteria to enter for the Elizabeth Lane sidewalkers. There is no entry for any adults other than staff. And I know that might be a little scary, especially for those of you with kindergarten and first grade students, but I can assure you that we are going to take great care of your children. And by limiting the amount of adults who come into our school, we are able to reduce the risk of transmission. So don't forget, before you leave for the bus stop or head to school, you need to complete the attestation form for the bus riders and the symptom screener for bus riders, car riders, and walkers. After you complete that symptom screener, all of that data is somehow magically transmitted over to the school, and we receive a report so that we know who has completed that symptom screener. The symptom screener will have that report to verify for bus riders, or we will need to call a parent or guardian and ask the questions on the symptom screener, or screen students who are old enough to respond to the questions on their own. During drop-off, parents or a student who has a mobile device can show the green check on their device during drop-off. If there is no green check and the student or parent is not able to complete on a mobile device, our screening team will ask the questions of the student or the parent in the carpool line prior to the child exiting the vehicle. Next, our staff will do a quick temperature check. That will happen as students unload the bus or if they're arriving in a car before exiting the vehicle. For our walkers, the temperature check will happen before the parent says goodbye to the walkers. This helps us make sure that if for any reason a student has a temperature when they arrive at school, the parent will be able to take the child with them if they're a car rider or a walker. If a bus rider shows up to school with a temperature, then we would take the child to our care room to make sure that they're separated from other students while we are able to call the parents and have someone come to pick the child up. The temperature threshold is 100.4. Any student who has a temperature should not come to school. And if a child comes to school with a temperature of 100.4 or above, they will not be allowed to enter the classroom. So where will the screening teams be? We will have a screening team down near the track and over by the cafeteria for our walkers. We will have 3 screening teams placed along the carpool drop-off for car riders and 3 screening teams along the bus drop-off. After students pass through the screening teams, they will enter the school and pass by 2 grab-and-go breakfast stations. Don't forget that breakfast is provided universally for all students in CMS. That means there's no charge. There are 2 pickup stations, one in the lobby and one right outside of the cafeteria and gym doors, where students may take a breakfast to eat in their classrooms. Then students will head to the classroom. Most days, students will come through the lobby or 200 doors, or through the gym and the cafeteria, depending on whether they are car riders, walkers, or bus riders. We will have one-way traffic, either directing students through the courtyard directly to their hallway, or one way around the hallway, depending on which way they enter in the morning. On rainy days, we will take a different approach, and we will have students in kindergarten, first and second grade enter and walk around this way to create a one-way hallway. And students who are in 3rd through 5th grade enter and move around the hallway this way. This helps us prevent two-way or cross traffic from happening in the hallways. But don't worry, there will be plenty of adults to help students find their way. This is a reminder that entry will be for students and staff only. Limiting access to our building reduces risk. We also have our remote staff to assist during arrival and dismissal. While teachers are at school because they're teaching remotely, they won't have students reporting to class, and that gives us additional adults on campus to help students find their way and also to help with symptom screening. At this time, no visitors are allowed. We will continue to update you throughout the year as restrictions and guidance changes. Please don't worry. We will take excellent care of your children. So in the hallways, students will practice walking with social distance. We have markings placed along the hallways to help with that. And you will also notice that there are hallway signs that you can use to help your child know where to go. Teachers in each grade will be able to share their hallway sign during remote learning, and we will also use those signs to help children as they learn their way around campus. You'll also notice that the drinking fountains are taped off from the drinking spout, but the bottle fillers are left open. There are also signs to remind students that we don't drink directly from the fountains and that we're using them now as only bottle filling stations. There are also additional hand sanitizing stations placed all around our campus, as well as signs to remind students and staff to wash their hands frequently throughout the day. The classrooms look quite different than what you have seen before. We have marked off the spaces in our classroom to allow for students to have their desk and chair, along with movement space behind their desk, and an extra chair that will be used for holding the backpack, lunchbox, and other things during the day. This will prevent crossover at the cubbies in the classroom. We also have markings on the floor to help students know where to stand and wait for washing hands, using the restroom, and other activities in the classroom. As students enter the classroom, the teacher and other staff will be there to help teach them how to use their desk space to set up for the day. As you can see, they really have a big area of space, and students have shown us through our trials with our staff kids that they are able to adjust easily to the new routines. On your child's in-person days, they will keep all of their materials and things inside of their desk space. And the things that need to stay at school will be moved to the classroom cubbies for their remote days. Another class will be using the classroom on the days opposite your child's in-person days. And so this will help make sure that we're keeping materials separate, and rooms will be sanitized between each group of students. We also have some clearly defined outdoor spaces for students. We've used markings outside of the classroom to provide 6 feet of social distance so that students can get outside with their teachers during the day in a clearly defined space, and they will be able to use these outdoor spaces for movement breaks, teacher-directed mass breaks. They can take advantage of the space for lunch, read outdoors, have snack, however the teacher decides to use those spaces. We will be asking students to bring a beach towel to school to use in their outdoor spaces. So you may be wondering about class sizes and how we are providing social distance. We're fortunate to have very large classroom spaces inside the building, and those are the classrooms that we're using for all of our in-person classes. According to our building layout, in our kindergarten through 3rd grade classes, we can have up to 20 desks and 20 students and provide the 6 feet of social distance. In 4th and 5th grade, we are using additional classrooms on the 200 hallway so that we can provide space for up to 22 and 24 desks and students. Currently, our largest in-person class sizes in kindergarten is 15, 1st grade 18, 2nd grade 18, 3rd grade 19, 4th grade 22, and 5th grade 24. In all of these classes, in all of these grades, we are currently able to provide 6 feet of social distance. There are some cases where 6 feet of social distance will not be possible. That is likely to happen in the hallways as we're transitioning. However, in the hallways, students won't be spending an extended amount of time together in those spaces, and so we aren't concerned that we're not providing the best, most careful safety measures in those instances. We also have procedures in place for the restrooms. Our K-2 classrooms all have a restroom inside of the class that students will be able to use during the day. Our 3-5 classrooms are assigned to specific hallway restrooms. For the hallway restrooms, we have little hooks outside of the restroom so that a student will hang their name tag on the hook when they go into the restroom to alert another student who may come that they need to wait. The restroom is occupied. If they see an open hook, that should mean that the restroom is empty. If the student goes into the restroom and realizes that a student is inside and has forgotten to put up their name tag, they will be asked to just come back outside and wait until that student leaves. Our restrooms are currently occupancy of 1 only. Students will be allowed to either bring a lunch from home or buy a hot lunch from the school. We ask that if you're bringing lunch from home, you include all of the things that your child will need for lunch. That means utensils, napkins, a drink, because students who bring lunch from home won't be visiting the cafeteria. All students will be having lunch in the classroom or in their outdoor space. The hot lunch from school will be one option each day, and a menu will be provided. Hand washing will be included in the daily schedule before and after lunch, and we will not have lunch visitors until further notice. Special area classes and individual student services will occur both in the classroom and outside. The art teacher will come to the classroom to teach the art lessons, and small groups will occur virtually for students who receive individual and small group services. 3rd through 5th grade students will stay in the same classroom for both Block 1 and Block 2, and the teachers will change classrooms. PE will be held outside when weather is permitting, and recess will be outside every day, weather permitting. Classes will be assigned to specific recess zones, and recess will be teacher-led. As needed, other services will come to the students. Our nurse will be on wheels this year, and she will bring medications to the classroom, as well as respond to the classroom for any concerns about sickness or health. School counselors and administrators will also come down to the classrooms to visit students as needed. So you may be wondering, what is teacher-led recess? Can we use the equipment? Why do students need to stay socially distanced? Once our school is open for students, we want it to stay open. When someone tests positive for COVID, we need accurate information about their close contacts at school. Teacher-led means an adult staff member will teach students new ways to play at recess while the equipment is off limits. Early dismissal and transportation changes will have new procedures this year. We are asking that families please limit any requests for early dismissal. We only have 2 days with your children in person at school. Early dismissal will end at 2 p.m. because our dismissal procedures will take longer this year than usual. If you must pick your child up for an early dismissal, please ring the doorbell and a staff member will come out to assist you. We also ask that you please limit any changes to your child's afternoon transportation. Teachers will be sending the blue emergency card electronically this year, and that should come out on Thursday, October 22nd. We are asking that families complete those forms as soon as possible, but if you have not received your bus mailing yet, please wait until you receive that information to complete the form. We are asking that families choose either bus rider, walker, car rider, or van for afternoon transportation. If a change to afternoon dismissal is absolutely necessary, parents are asked to email the teacher and call the front office to request a change to afternoon dismissal. Changes to afternoon dismissal also cannot be accepted after 2:00 p.m. We will continue our use of transportation tags, and hang tags for car riders will be provided to families during the first 2 weeks of school attendance. We ask that families hang those tags from the mirror or place in the front windshield when picking students up from school. We will use backpack tags for all students, and we will issue those during the first 2 weeks of school attendance. Your child's backpack tag tells us their bus slot number or which van they ride, and we ask that you keep it on your child's backpack at all times because that helps us create a safe and orderly dismissal. During dismissal, families who arrive for car line prior to 2:15 will be asked to leave and come back at another time. I know that may sound a little harsh, but we use our bus lot for PE and for recess zones, and so we can't have cars driving through that area or it takes away play space for our children. Parents who are picking up may arrive between 2:15 and 2:30, but I highly advise that you wait until 2:30 to arrive for car rider pickup because that's when the line can start moving. The carpool pickup lane will begin moving this year at 2:30. That's a few minutes earlier than our actual dismissal time, and that will help us accommodate social distance and a safe and orderly dismissal. Between 2:30 and 2:50, families will pull into the main drive and pick up students in this carpool lane. Our buses will be pulling into the main bus parking lot, and we will load the buses between 2:35 and 2:45. Childcare vans will pull into this first lane of our main staff parking lot, and we will begin loading the childcare vans at 2:30. Walkers will dismiss at 2:35, and we will continue to have our playground side walkers for the Sardis Plantation side and our bus side walkers who will meet over by the cafeteria for our Elizabeth Lane sidewalkers. Thank you for sharing your children with us. Again, we take this responsibility very seriously, and we want you to know that we have put a tremendous amount of planning and preparation into making sure that you can trust us with your children. That doesn't mean that we won't have any positive cases to share with you this year. It is highly possible that we will be notifying families at some point that a positive case has been identified. That's just the way it's going to go this year. But we can assure you that we will take every precaution to keep your child safe and that we will be completely transparent about sharing information and updates with you as soon as they are available. Don't worry, ELE family, we've got this.